We've turned our fender into a shell 0.06 thick, and using the cut with up to surface command, I've created a step at the parting line perimeter. The next step now is to cut out the wheel well opening. To do that, I'm going to make visible again the wheel well surface that I've had hidden for a while since it wasn't needed. I'm simply going to use the cut with surface command to remove this material. When you use cut with surface, you have to make sure that the cutting surface is completely passing through the solid body. And we see that in this case it is. So using cut with surface, selecting the surface, and then making sure the arrow is facing the right way. In this case we want to cut inward to get rid of this material. You see that we've cut away the fender, and then we can go back and hide this surface again. Later on we will just delete that surface altogether. The next step will be to add the box rib that will act as the axle support. This is done by just simply drawing a box-like sketch on a sketch plane, in this case going right through the center of where my axle is, and doing an extrusion with a thin wall right up to this inside surface, and also an extrusion with a blind option going a little bit in this direction. So here we see I've selected up to surface for the highlighted red surface, blind going downward by 0.1, and I've selected a rib thickness for some reason of 0.047, probably make that 0.04 would be more appropriate. And at the same time, let me go back to that again, I've added draft to this rib so that it will draft outward and have the appropriate draft to be pulled out of the mold. So we'll take a look at this from the bottom, and we can see that because of the draft we can see both the outside and the inside surfaces of the rib. The last step is simply to add the slots that the axle will pass through. You'll remember that when we brought this master model over, it included the wheel and the axle, which I've had hidden all this time. So I'm going to turn the axle back on. That lets me know exactly where the center of this is so that I can put the slot in the appropriate location. So I'm just going to draw a sketch, which can be just about on any plane facing in this direction, and do a cut all the way through that will get rid of this excess material. So here I've made a sketch that uses an offset from the outer edges of the axle. I've put my some draft directly in the sketch. This also acts as a little bit of a lead-in when you're dropping the axle into the slot. You see that this is on a plane at the end of the axle, and we're just going to cut all the way through. Then to finish this off, I've simply put some fillets on these edges. And the last step is to clean up this model by taking any remaining solid or surface bodies that don't belong in it and simply deleting them, leaving us with just the fender, which is just the single solid body in the model.